Hello, 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 and welcome back for an episode of the Type R Swapped EK. This is going to be kind of the introductory of the build and the start of the turbo project. So be sure to hit the subscribe button to stay updated on this new project that we're doing and to get any updates from HunterTuned. Now, this is a customer car that I am working on, and I wanted to show you guys kind of a before and after turbo install and kind of give you a quick rundown of the car. Again, like I said, it's just a completely stock Type R engine with ARP head studs and just got some goodies on it, like a whale penis intake, password JDM, and Hasport mounts, regular header, nothing too special, aftermarket half-size radiator, and yeah. Car itself is super clean. If you guys haven't seen the last video where I kind of introduced some of the parts that we're going to be putting on the car, be sure to go check that out. And yeah, wanted to do a quick pull in the car all motor so you guys can see a before and after of the power difference. It's a little raining, or it's raining out today, so we're not going to be able to do like first or second gear, but we can do a third gear pull or something, and you guys can kind of see how it is now, and then hopefully in a week or so you'll be able to see how a car pulls when it's turboed. So yeah, without further ado, let's get this thing fired up and take it out for a little drive. Like I said in the last video, this car seems to have a really funky idle. It doesn't like to idle when it's cold. When it's warmed up, it seems like it's okay, but when it's warmed up, it doesn't like to idle very well. It's probably something in the tune that I will adjust once we turbo it, but kind of no point right now with no wideband or anything in the car. Yeah, it's like I gotta give it gas to start it. Alright guys, now that the car is warmed up just even a little bit, it's idling a lot smoother, it's not dying. Just like I said in a couple of videos before this, this is just some of the bugs with Chrome tuning. You kind of got to know the ins and outs of Chrome to be able to get them to run right, but yeah, Honda and Neptune are definitely the way to go. But if you're on a budget, Chrome does work, and if you guys have questions or need help with Chrome, you can always reach out to me, and I do my best to assist. This car drives so well, guys. Even on a wet road, I can't even get it to spin. And it's not because it doesn't have power, it's just because that the car is just set up really well. Like it corners like a freak. Corners very well. We'll try a first gear pull, see if it hooks up at all. Not bad, not bad. Not bad for in the rain. That's a for sure thing. This thing is a blast. Honestly, if it were my car, I probably wouldn't even turbo it. I would just like have this thing set up for a road course or something. The transmission is very smooth. The only other gripe I have with the car is the clutch seems like it's very chattery, and it seems like the clutch chatters a lot when I engage the clutch. That could be from like a worn out flywheel or just an improperly adjusted clutch, because it does grab very high up in the pedal, so that could be another thing too, but not that big of a deal. Alright, one more pull and then we'll head her back to the house. Yeah, buddy. This thing's fun.
Gotcha, bitch.
Alright, people of YouTube, today I actually drove the car around a little bit and got it, just tried to see if it had any other issues that I was concerned about, and this thing pulls pretty decent. It does burn a little bit of oil, it's nothing crazy, and it does have that idle problem, but I kind of skipped ahead a bunch and I didn't film a whole lot. But I did get the car in the garage and I started tearing it apart. I got it jacked up in the air, and I actually removed the exhaust and I removed the air conditioning completely. So to remove the AC, there's a bracket that actually bolts here that the compressor bolts onto. Then you have two lines that come off of it to the condenser, or like the AC radiator that sits right here. There's a bracket that bolts here, and then there's a couple electrical connectors you need to take off. And then there's some AC lines that run along here to a little box, or like a little container that sits right next to the windshield washer fluid. And then you take the lines all the way out, connecting behind the battery. They just bolt on right here, and you can unbolt them once you have the battery tray out and the battery out. You can get all that stuff out. So the battery tray is pretty simple. It's just got two bolts in the middle of it and then one on this side. So I got the battery and all that stuff out. I took the strut brace off because it was in the way of doing some of that stuff. It's easier when it's off. And I got the intake off. So that is where I'm at so far. And now I'm going to start actually trying to put this turbo onto the manifold and see where we're at that way. There's the stock header that was on the car. We took that off, unplugged the O2 sensor, two bolts on that side, and then the ones that connect to the cylinder head here. So now I'm going to install these studs right here that go into the turbo manifold, and then probably bolt the housing on next. One thing is that a lot of people will, disagree with me or whatever, but when I install turbos on the manifolds, I never run a gasket, because when you put the gaskets on, a lot of times they blow out. Especially with a manifold like this that's not very efficient, it causes a lot of exhaust back pressure, and the back pressure blows the gasket out almost every single time. I've tried a bunch of different gaskets and they never work. So I just bolt the thing on, metal to metal with no gasket, and I never, ever, ever have issues. It doesn't leak. As long as both surfaces are flat, you should be good. So yeah. Another thing here is this downpipe is actually meant for the turbo to be on the, or I should say the downpipe is meant to be on the driver's side. So when the turbo manifold is on, the downpipe will come off this way, and then the compressor housing will be on the left side, or the passenger side. And unfortunately, with this exhaust manifold that he gave me to use, this is actually sucks the turbo in too far, so the compressor housing actually hits the block. And I would hate to gouge up a nice JDM motor or Type R motor, whatever you want to call it. I would hate to gouge that up. I've done it on previous motors, like an LS motor or whatever that I don't really care about. You can grind a lot of this away. You can grind this material on the block away. And sometimes it's enough to clearance for the turbo. But it's also a pain because you can't run an air filter usually because the slave cylinder will hit the compressor housing as well. And you won't be able to actually bolt on an air filter or any sort of material onto the compressor housing inlet. What else did we do here? I removed the cooling fan because it was in the way of me trying to position the turbo and stuff like that. It's a lot easier when it's off, and I think the cooling fan, because it is actually a pretty big fan, this is like a factory style fan, it's actually pretty thick. We might have to get a slim fan. I have a few extras, so I might throw one of those on so it doesn't interfere with the downpipe like I was saying. So we're probably going to have to cut this downpipe and re-weld it to see where we are going to have to position this, and I'm going to have to, like I said, re-weld this and reposition the flange so we can run the exhaust on the passenger side. Alright guys, so now I just put the turbo onto the manifold, at least like the turbine housing of the turbo. I got that bolted on. Everything's nice and tight, just 4 bolts here. And now I'm going to install the rest of the turbo into the turbine housing. I've noticed it's a lot easier to put these things together by doing it this way, because these turbos actually come apart just like this, and then these little rings bolt around the side here of the turbine housing, and that kind of holds it all in place for when you need to clock it and whatnot. So yeah, like I said, it's just easier to bolt it to the manifold this way. And you have to loosen them up anyways to clock it and face your oil lines where you need them and all that kind of stuff. So I'm just going to get this thing all bolted back together, and then we can slap it onto the car. Another quick tip, guys, when you're putting this on, it's always good to loosen all the perimeter bolts around the compressor housing and the turbine housing here, so you can rotate these individually and clock them where exactly you need them to be, like I was saying. So I always make sure they're loose before I put it on, and then I can adjust it where I need to on the car and then tighten it all up. Alright guys, so I got the manifold and turbo bolted on. Now I'm actually going to be modifying the downpipe to make it fit on the passenger side, because like I said, it's one that's meant for the driver's side. So we're going to modify that, get it bolted on. Okay guys, so what I'm doing here is I just cut the flange off of the downpipe, and I just pretty much followed along the weld with my cutoff wheel to cut off the flange here, and then I'm actually just going to follow this weld right here as well to make the pipe like straight 90 degrees with the rest of the downpipe, and I'm thinking that will work for what we need it to do. So I'm going to cut this, and then we will pick up after I'm done cutting that. Alright guys, little update here. Got everything cut. I actually had to cut the downpipe in two spots, because when it was all hooked up and the flange was cut off, if I were to just weld it how it was, the downpipe would have been facing forward. So we had to cut it in a second spot. And now I just have the flange bolted up to the turbo just temporarily with these bolts that I had laying here, because I didn't actually get bolts with this turbo kit. So I'm going to have to go get some bolts for it tomorrow. But this I just cut, like I said, and now I'm just kind of eyeing it up where it needs to be, and I'm going to tack it while it's on the car, and then I will take it all off and fully weld it on the bench. And I'll do the same with the bottom piece, so we have a working downpipe. And then once the downpipe's done, we can move on to some other things, but that might be in the next video. But we'll finish the downpipe quick, and we'll see what's up after that. Okay, so I got the downpipe tacked where I want it. It's not interfering with the radiator or anything. That's a big thing with running the downpipes on this side. You want to make sure it doesn't hit the radiator. And we have clearance there, so no issues there. The only issue is where the AC is, or the AC radiator, where that was, is actually going to interfere. So I'm going to have to bend this in so it doesn't interfere with the downpipe. So I'm going to take this off, fully weld it, and then bend this in, and then I'll put the rest of the downpipe on. Alright guys, so I just got the downpipe, the first section of the downpipe fully welded up. My welds are not the prettiest, but they do hold and they don't leak. So yeah, I don't know. I'm not an expert welder by any means, but it didn't turn out that bad, I guess. And it should hold up just fine. All I have is a MIG welder, and I'm currently out of gas for it. So yeah, when you MIG weld stainless, it actually takes away the stainless properties of the metal and you turn it into steel, at least where you welded. I've done it like this on pretty much every eBay downpipe I've ever done, and they hold up just fine like this. So I'm all right with doing it this way, and I did verify with the customer that this was okay before he even dropped the car off. I told him, I said, if it is an eBay downpipe and it doesn't fit, be prepared for me to re-weld it, and for it to not be, it's not going to be a professional pretty looking TIG weld like this. My welds more so look like that. But yeah, I'm going to get this thing bolted on, and then we'll see what the bottom section looks like for the downpipe, and then probably wrap this video up. Okay guys, so I just got the rest of the downpipe kind of tacked in where it needs to be. I just kind of held it up there and tacked it where it needed to be. And as you can see down here, the downpipe is not long enough to connect to the rest of the exhaust, so I'm going to have to probably cut this flange off and then extend it so it can reach the rest of the exhaust. I'll probably end up doing that stuff tomorrow because I don't have any pipe here to extend it, but for the time being, this thing's looking pretty good. So yeah, I'm gonna finish welding that and probably head it in for the night, and then we'll pick up more tomorrow. We'll probably do the oil lines, maybe mount the intercooler and some stuff like that. So yeah, be sure to stay tuned for the rest of the project here. I'm usually pretty quick at doing these turbo kits. I've done literally probably 3 dozen of them. So yeah, kind of know what to do and what to look for, and I'm trying to show you guys what I do and what I offer for services for customers and stuff like that. So if you do enjoy, please subscribe and like the video. If you guys have any build inquiries or tuning inquiries or anything like that, please email me at huntertuned@gmail.com. I also offer injectors. I sell decapped LS injectors that you can run in your Honda or any other LS based motor. They flow anywhere from 750 cc all the way up to around 1000 cc on some of them. So yeah, be sure to hit me up if you guys need anything, and until next time, we will see you later.